Welcome to Roosevelt Live. I want to take time out today to thank all the veterans, being that I know Monday was Memorial Day. Show is airing on Wednesday, of course, so just want to take time to reflect back on that. All the people, men and women both, that gave their lives to this country since the conception of the country in 1776, that has went out and joined the military. Some was drafted, some volunteered down the line. All the different wars that the United States has been in over the years to secure our freedoms. And so many people lost their lives, family members. Some people got injured during the war, whether it be mental or physical. You can't go through a war without having some type of scars that remain. And I just want to make sure that we in the United States is taking a moment out to realize the sacrifice that people have made to this country. I know myself personally, my father was a World War II veteran, and I have two brothers that served respectively in the Air Force and the Army for 20 years each. And I know that if it wasn't for them, along with a lot of other people, that we wouldn't have the freedoms we have today. So I know a lot of people out enjoying themselves on Monday, but they should take a moment to reflect and think about what this country would be like if we didn't have those brave men and women out there fighting those battles in the United States or abroad, wherever it took place at, whether you were in intelligence and you were working out of MacDill, or whether you were actually on the ground as a troop working and fighting hand-to-hand combat. Whichever one you were doing, it all comes together as one. So I just want to reflect on that. Once again, thanking all the people that was out there that participated, the veterans today, and hopefully, with those people, those braveness that they've had, that will continue to have the freedoms that we have and enjoy in this country, giving everybody the right to their own opinions, and some maybe a little bit strange, but either way, they're right. So, and that's how I see it. Welcome back to Roosevelt Live. Today's topic is we're going to touch on the state of Alabama. The state of Alabama have a congressman named Arthur Davis. He's a four-term congressman, and he's going to be having a primary here, I think, on Tuesday coming up. And if he wins in the primary, then he'll be the first African American to actually get a nomination for the governorship of the state of Alabama. And that is actually a unique situation, because we all remember, or some of us can remember, at one time Governor George Wallace standing in the doorways of the University of Alabama, refusing to let any African Americans attend school there. And going from that time in Alabama to a potential nominee for governor, African American, is a big issue. It shows definitely progress in the state of Alabama. Alabama, along with several other states, were pretty racist at one time in their views about African Americans and other minorities in this country. So it was a pleasure for me to see that information, that this could be a possibility. I don't know the individual politics at this point, but then again, I'm not going to be voting in the primary nor in the actual election, because I don't live in that state. But it just shows great progress, knowing that it's an opportunity perhaps that African Americans even get to that point. So we're making progress in the United States in general. Of course, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of issues that are still going on, but every time there's a light, that we should always acknowledge the light. No matter how many times we see darkness, we always got to acknowledge the light, and that is a light in the eyesight of the state of Alabama. So hopefully, if everything goes well, coming up here shortly, that he might get the nomination and then start seeking that governorship. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I will be watching closely to see whether or not he gets that opportunity. And if not, then I'm sure there will be others coming along behind him, and eventually someone will, whether it be African American or another minority, they will come along eventually and get that opportunity to run the great state of Alabama. And I say that with all honesty. I'm sure it's a great state. It's never the state, it's the individual people doing history that were in those states that caused or did certain things to other minorities. So every state is a great state. It's always the people that's running it that will cause it to have, quote unquote, a black eye. So my thing is at this point that if you look at the state of Alabama and you decide that this is a turning point, and maybe some of the other southern states will have turning points as well, then you let me know what you think about it. You can email me at liveroosevelt@gmail.com, or you can catch segments of the show on youtube.com/Roosevelt Live. That's my opinion. Tell me what yours is. Welcome back to Roosevelt Live. Today's topic, one of the topics at least anyway, is about alcohol detection. The federal government is working on a new device, I guess you could call it, a new technology, should I say, that will allow them to detect alcohol in different facets if a person has been drinking. And one of the ways that they're working on is that being able to pretty much the sweat from your hands when your hands on the steering wheel would be one way of detecting. I guess somehow it would be able to detect the fluids in your body. I'm not sure how it's going to be read, but one of the ways is detecting the sweat off of your hands on your steering wheel. Another way is actually the mirrors being able to read your eyes and being able to scan your eyes and detect if you've been drinking by looking at your I guess your pubics in your eyes would be dilated, or whatever happens when you've been drinking that they look for. And I think on the third ways was actually some type of sniff detector that would be able to smell alcohol on your breath when you get in the vehicle. And I was wondering, do you think that the government, if this technology is developed and actually get put into place, because it's going to be put in all new vehicles, do you think the government's going too far? Do you think the government is not going far enough? I mean, after all, I'm thinking if you've been a victim, and I'm sure most people have in some way or another know someone that had an accident, friend, family, neighbors, that had an accident, someone was drinking and driving. And if you've been a victim of that in any way, you know how bad it can be, and it's a tragedy when you lose loved ones or friends or co-workers due to someone else's ignorance when they get out and drive while under the influence of alcohol or some type of narcotic. I personally believe that I don't have a problem myself with the government being able to try and cut back by using some of these devices, but I'm only concerned if it's only in new cars. What happened to the old cars? Are the government's going to force us to purchase and have these technologies installed in our vehicles? Is the government's going to pay and install them things in our vehicles for us? And what happens if you have someone else driving, or you have someone else get in and do some of these things, and then you jump in the car? What if you're a passenger? Will it still detect alcohol in your breath? What if you got gloves on? Will the sweat from your hands still be able to penetrate and get onto the steering wheel? I don't think so. So I have a lot of questions. I'm sure that the government would have answers, because I'm sure I'm a layman, so therefore I'm sure they'll be able to answer any of the questions I throw at them. But I'm just curious because, like I said, when you look at MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they've done a lot to combat this type of stuff as far as people driving under influence. I think it was 2008, 2006, 2008, over 11,000 people died in these car accidents related to drugs or narcotics. So that's a lot of people. That's not even counting maybe injuries of people that have been hit by people that have been drinking. I mean, we see it in the papers every day. We hear it in our neighborhoods. We hear it on the jobs. And I don't think it's going further enough. I think that I know that the lady with I can't recall her name right now, but anyway, she was the American Beverage Institute, and she's saying that, hey, look, that's in the ball games now. That's the end of champagne toast. That's the end of wine at dinner. I don't think so. I think that it would have to be a measure put in to make sure you're not intoxicated. I don't think they're going to say any alcohol whatsoever, because even now we have a number that we go by. And if you breach that number, then you're considered intoxicated. So I'm convinced that you could still have a glass of wine. You can still go to ball games. You can still do the things you normally do. Just don't get behind the wheel when you're intoxicated to the point that you're been impaired. And I think that's best for everybody. So I think she was stretching a little bit out of control, just kind of maybe blowing off steam, because one more time people thinking Big Brother is coming in and they're going to dictate to us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. I don't see nothing wrong with it myself. I welcome the technology. I think that it's going to bring insurance down, perhaps. It's going to save a lot of lives. It's going to save a lot of pain and heartache. And I can't find anything wrong with it at this point.